affordability to luxury, from location to high quality fittings.
Be quick before it gets taken away.
Either you are downsizing, buying your first home, or starting your investment journey.
We passed the property in at 340, private negotiations with the highest bidder, ended up selling at the vendor's price at $376,000.
This is the one you can't afford to miss.
So, congratulations! What a campaign from Jazz, Singh and Kaz and the team.
Jazz's knowledge of the local market, his use of the latest platforms in advertising made a big difference.
It was a long process, but it was brilliant. Everything went well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful experience. I've had conversations with at 7 in the morning, same night at 12 o'clock, and next day morning at 6 o'clock. That's what the commitment is. He constantly keeps on going with what we deserve for the property.
He did a brilliant job, which is way more than what I expected, and I love it.
My name is Jason from Jazz Real Estate, EV Group. I look forward to see you at one of my open homes.
And we are live at Jazz TV show with our own Aaron Leask. I'm excited.
It's great to be here.
Absolutely, Aaron. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's what day is it today? We're Wednesday, isn't it?
Wednesday already.
Recording is Wednesday. Yeah, it's
Correct.
Easter's upon us.
Yes. What's the plan for long weekend?
A lot of hot cross buns and chocolate.
And chocolates. There you go. How exciting it is. The topic of the show is how this seller made millions. Now, we'll talk about that. Guys, please hang till the end. We'll talk about a story, how this vendor made millions became a millionaire by using the method of auction. Now, today's topic is about really being casual and talking real thing about auctions versus private sale. I feel both the campaigns are really good depending on what suits a vendor. But of course, we've got one of the best auctioneers in the country here, Aaron. We'll share about why auctions are great, what are the pros and cons, and perhaps some of the stories that you have to share, Aaron.
Well, hopefully after 20 odd years of doing it, I've got a few stories. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with regard to the method of sale.
Yeah.
And auction and private sale work well for a vendor, and it will determine obviously the type of property they have and their timeline and motivation, etc. But auction historically has always been in any marketplace. The booming markets and the markets and the changing markets have always worked well as a method. It's tried and true. Melbourne is the auction capital of the world.
Correct.
Many other cities have tried to match us with our prolific numbers, but it's tried and true. And I think that we're seeing that now, even with the markets that we're dealing in, you and I. You get results, and the result may not actually be, okay, we had 5 bidders on the day and we sold it for 100,000 over. But the idea of auction, as well as one of the, obviously selling on the day, but the idea of it is to draw a buyer out for the agent to then deal with.
Correct. Exactly. It's like the reason I love auctions is, number one, in any different market or any changing market or any what people call as a hot market, for us, that is also a normal market. Even a market is what people call downturn, or perhaps a declining market is also a normal market, because if you know the process, then the outcomes can be achieved irrespective of the market conditions. Few things, of course, for a seller to understand from an agent's perspective is to realize where the market feedback has been, how you run the campaign up until the day, and who's the auctioneer. It's just like how you choose an agent makes a massive difference.
Yes.
The choice of your auctioneer is also a massive impact, isn't it?
That's right. And I think that a good auctioneer can really squeeze out those extra dollars and using various techniques. The way to do that often on the day can determine, it depends really on the day and how the auction's going. And an auctioneer really has to think on his feet. He really has to be, almost the master of ad lib in a way, and working in an environment that gets thrown at him on the day.
Correct.
A good agent also will provide the auctioneer with the people for him to work with. And an auctioneer can be the best in going around. But
Yeah.
if the buyers aren't there, the campaign hasn't been run effectively by
Correct.
the agent, then it's very difficult for an auctioneer to just pull the rabbit out of the hat, as they say.
Exactly. And I suppose on that topic, let's talk about when or what the common perception in the market from the sellers is that the auctioneer does what he or she does on the day. Because leading up to the auction day, what role an agent plays for the outcome to be a success or perhaps to be an ideal outcome?
Yeah. The agent really does the heavy lifting.
Yeah, right.
And the agent really needs to provide the auctioneer with as much relevant data
Right.
as appropriate for the auctioneer to then advise and be able to walk into a situation to then go, okay, my suggestion is we do this, we started here, we call for bids here,
Right.
this is where we place a vendor bid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because at the end of the day, that's going to determine the outcome of the result. If an auctioneer walked in without any advice from the agent and just starts off the cuff, it's not going to work. You're
correct.
working as a team too, so it's just as important, because the agent really does 90% of it. The auctioneer coming in, that last 10% is the
Right.
most important 10%.
Right.
But they are, that's where it all adds up to the 100.
Correct. So would it be fair to say the analogy where a GP and a specialist telling a surgeon about what the problem the patient has? So if a GP is not giving the proper advice versus a specialist, what we sometimes call ourselves, with all due respect, is a specialist and a surgeon's tag team.
Spot on. And it's almost, that's a great example. And another example is the solicitor advising the barrister before going to court. That's the same sort of thing. It's coming in and closing, I suppose.
Yes.
The situation, but that it's a full team effort, and I can't do my job without the help of you.
Exactly, and vice versa. Exactly. And I suppose, tell us a little bit more about an experience where you thought that the property would not sell, but on the day, the process, either the property got passed in and you got an amazing outcome for a vendor, and we'll share one of our auctions from the past couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's been a number of those scenarios, and it might sound surprising to the viewers and the listeners, but I couldn't tell you how many times we've had situations where the campaign, you're going into the day and it's a bit light on for interest, and the agent isn't confident, and that may be the case because the feedback has been that as such. But something funny happens in those 15 minutes. As soon as the bell gets rung and we walk out and we do the announcements, it's something funny can happen, and there's probably, I can count on two hands at least how often that's happened, where you've had going out, you're thinking you're going to be passing in on a vendor bid, and then you just get a little start.
Exactly.
And then nothing, and then another start, and all of a sudden it's backwards, forwards, and you've got 5 people involved.
Exactly.
And you're selling at 100 over reserve. So I think it probably also comes back to the variations of the property needs to be ticking the boxes.
Correct.
The price range, the marketing needs to be ticking the boxes. The agent needs to be thorough.
Correct.
It all just comes back to it's a complete team effort. But
And I guess from the day the campaign's launched, having an understanding between the vendor and the agent is so critical, because if a vendor and the agent's not aligned on what needs to be done throughout the campaign, and the feedback is the agent providing all the feedback to the vendor and the auctioneer, and understanding whether the price is correct. Location of the property, of course, you can't change it. But again, what factors you can control is your marketing, better marketing. So for an example, we had an auction last weekend. Again, Aaron was the auctioneer there. The auction campaign has been so amazing. We started with a private sale, and we felt that auction would be a better method. So we discussed with the vendor and touched on the pain points of the campaign and thought auction would be a better solution. So we switched the campaign to an auction. And that's exactly what got us close to the sale now, where we were anticipating probably about 3 or 4 attendees on the day. But again, serious buyers. But half of the street was full. And the auction video is coming soon anyways. we were thinking the bidding would potentially, depending on again the estimate that we had from the buyers and the feedback, bidding would be relatively low, but we got that close to the vendor's reserve and still negotiating at the moment. So had it been on a private sale, perhaps there might be an offer here and perhaps the vendor is here. It'll be hard to bridge the gap sometimes.
Yeah, very hard.
So, but what the auction has done is now bridge that gap and got us close to the outcome.
Yeah.
Versus the auction we had a couple of weeks ago, or not, I'd say a couple of months ago, it feels like weeks only, at 10 Tramota. That auction there, the vendor's reserve price was quite realistic. Feedback 720, 730, vendor's reserve 760, sold at 810.
810, yeah.
So I was surprised myself.
Yeah. The transparency of auction as well is great for buyers.
Yeah.
Because I think in the private sale method, it can be difficult as well for the agent to be able to handle multiple offers. Auction with multiple offers is quite easy to handle because all of the buyers can see their other competition.
Correct.
You can see it as an agent. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's all,
Correct.
hang on, this is where your competition's at, and it's dealt with within a 10 to 15 minute period. Versus
Exactly.
some private sales, negotiations back and forth, multiple buyers. You end up bringing him in the
Correct.
boardroom if you've got 3 or 4 anyway,
Yeah.
and you have an auction. So
Correct.
you sort of end up short-circuiting that process.
Exactly. Guys, we'll take a quick short break and we'll be back shortly. From affordability to luxury, from location to high quality fittings.
Be quick before it gets taken away.
Either you are downsizing, buying your first home, or starting your investment journey. We passed the property in at 340, private negotiations with the highest bidder, ended up selling at the vendor's price at $376,000. This is the one you can't afford to miss.
Snow! Congratulations! What a campaign from Jazz, Singh and Kaz and the team.
Jazz's knowledge of the local market, his use of the latest platforms in advertising made a big difference.
It was a long process, but it was brilliant.
And we're back again. So, talking more about an auction process, let's dive deep into the current market situation and what would Aaron Leask advise a vendor in the current climate?
Well, I think the current climate, there's hesitation from a lot of vendors at the moment because their feeling is that, well, if I go to auction, I'm not going to sell, and it's going to be a failure.
Right.
And as we might have mentioned in the outset at the top of the show, is that at least getting a bidder, flushing out a bidder, is a successful auction campaign because you found somebody that one has bid publicly on the home, they've put their hand up, that you can talk to.
Correct.
Private sale, you'll see a lot of conditions thrown into an offer. A lot of subject to finance, subject to building, subject to pest, subject to the sale of my home, subject to
me buying grocery today.
a number of things.
Exactly.
So the auction takes that out. So it's really leveraged towards a vendor.
Yeah.
I think the trick is in a changing market is to getting the pricing right.
Correct.
And the marketing and the advertising right, because then that draws the buyers in.
Yes.
And I think, you're very good with your videos. I think you do a fantastic job with that.
Thank you for that.
So if you are selling a point cook, you've got to call Jazz. but with regards to that, I think, it's still a very, very tried and true method.
Yeah.
And then you open the door to having no ceiling on your price as well.
Correct.
So private sale, you're asking $799. Buyers very rarely, if ever, pay more than the asking price. They're
Correct.
always coming in at 750, 60, 70, and we have to negotiate up.
Correct.
Auctions, you might have that same property at 720 to 790 or
Exactly.
7 to 770, let's say.
Exactly.
And you end up getting 810 potentially, because if you find two buyers at 780, well, they both can't buy it at 780.
Correct.
One has to go to 790, the other one goes, oh, I'll do a bit more, I'll do a bit more, and all of a
Correct.
sudden you're at 800.
Exactly. And I suppose the beauty of an auction process is, as you said, there's no cap. And we had so many experiences in the past where a buyer said, when the asking price was $690 to say $740, and they say, I'll go unconditional, I'll go 710. And you negotiate, and deep down, you know, there's only one party who's paying that, rest of them are here.
Mhm.
And you can't even risk that as well.
That's right.
Versus an auction, it does give that buyer even that's one buyer, that person is scared of either missing out or perhaps what could go wrong.
Yeah.
They would actually have paralysis of over analysis, which a private sale sometimes offer.
And they don't have any visibility either on other interests, whereas the competition element of an auction will inadvertently give
Correct.
the buyer confidence that they're making the right decision
Exactly.
because someone else is interested.
Correct.
Often in private sales, they have no visibility. Usually they've gone through on their own. So they haven't been
Correct.
through the open house. They haven't seen 5 or 10 other buyers.
Correct.
They then say, well, okay, at auction, he's bid on the same house that I've looked at, and he's prepared to pay a similar price to what I'm prepared to pay. That gives me confidence that, hang on, I can't be wrong on this.
Correct. Exactly. It's justification on their own numbers, or perhaps there's a few different reasons. I'd say one, I need this home, a fear of missing out, or perhaps pressure from the partner is a big one as well. Emotions. Sometimes you don't know why a buyer would actually pay more. In a private sale, what I see is people end up buying the home, and you get to know from their friends who's a mutual client, or perhaps they themselves tell you that I know I've got a great price. My wife really loved the home. Then you think, could this buyer pay more?
Mm-hmm.
And versus at an auction, that person would come in with the journey in the back, where they've missed out on a home, they've missed out by $5,000 on 4 different homes in the last couple of months. They would not let it go. And same thing happened with 68 Prudence, one in Alamanda. You did number 60.
Yeah.
And then we had number 68. We did 4 auctions in that street in the past. And 59 was sold as well, trying to upsell. 68 Prudence was a private sale again, 690 to 740. And we're getting offered about 710, the example I was giving before. And the buyer ended up paying $775, $200. And there were bids up to $100, $50 as well till the end. What we found after, someone came in across the road and gave them a hug and congratulated them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, do you guys know each other? And they said, yeah, they live across the road. And we're best friends.
Yeah, right.
That was one of the reasons why they wanted to buy in the street. Plus, they loved the home. Home was good. Marketing was good. Presentation was good. The home had a lot of upgrades as well. So everything was in combination. Like you said, doesn't happen in isolation. Happens in combination. Yeah. So with the interest rates on hold now, of course, it's not a financial advice as a disclaimer. What do you think is going to happen now? I mean, based on your past experience.
Yeah, the natural reaction. So I've been lucky enough to work in like over 20 odd years. I've worked in sort of 3 different cycles of this type of market we're in.
Right.
So this is the 3rd wave of it. And what the interest rate will do and is going to do is give confidence back.
Right.
That the hemorrhaging has stopped.
Correct.
So to speak. And then you'll see more people, and it's already sort of started. You know, you see people now. The phones will start to ring. Maybe not tomorrow, but
correct.
You know, get Easter out the way. We'll start to be
exactly
a little busier, and then there's a bit of energy back.
Correct. And from stock levels, of course, now it might add some confidence to some vendors, because last night I got about 4 phone calls from Alamanda, from the vendors. With the interest rate stopping now, what do you guys think? We're planning to do something over the next couple of weeks. We'll get you in, have a look at the home, get things ready. I feel there would be a lot more vendors in the same position, but when there's more competition in the same estate, unless the homes are not comparable.
Yeah, we're seeing. I mean, we've been working together for a while now, and we've been seeing. I've noticed anyway at the auctions, there's been really consistent numbers.
Correct.
So that's only going to improve. And I think if vendors are listening to this and watching this, now is the time to really move, because what will happen is if you start to have other homes in your patch
Correct.
come up for sale when you want to come up for sale, a buyer's going to have a lot of choice.
Correct.
And that's where prices can suppress.
Correct.
If you can sell, at a time where that there's not a lot of competition around your home and other homes like yours,
Correct.
that's the way to do it.
100%. And I suppose from the market's perspective and what the buyers are doing, because buyers will be waiting to buy as well.
Yes. At the minute they see
There's more clarity.
over reserve, 3 or 4 bidders, missed out on this one, missed out on that one, missed out on that one.
Correct.
That's where you'll start to see them change their
Exactly.
method and change their habits.
And I was reading somewhere there's going to be about 7,500 skilled migrants coming to the country this end of the financial year in Melbourne alone, and roughly 130,000 by the end of the year as well. So
that's
a big number. And I think that's a cycle as well. Some people would come in and they'll probably rent for some time, which is good for the investors, and the rental returns would be strong. And of course, there's less choices for the rentals in the market as well, especially in Point Cook. And eventually we feel, especially the professionals, would then start looking a year or two after renting a home in an area. And sometimes we've seen people go for a 12-month lease and start looking in the 6 or 7 month, and then end up buying. We get tenants coming into the area from, say, Docklands or City, where they're working for NAB or IT, banking background, accounting background, and they're one of the best buyers that we can get in Point Cook, because we got better schools in the west in Point Cook, and they really respect the area, the demographic, and they really want to be in the area and provide better education for the kids as well.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things as well. So in a nutshell, Aaron, what would you recommend a vendor if you were to auction your home? What things you would do?
As far as the property or
A to Z.
A to Z. Well, A to Z, we could be here all day, Jazz.
Yeah.
But no, look, I think, a couple of points to really consider if you are the owner. You don't necessarily need to renovate the whole house to put it on the market.
Correct.
The basic essentials that you can control, such as front and back garden.
Yep.
Maybe a repaint.
Yep.
But clean, declutter, and just get the basics in the house right, because the house is the house.
Correct.
Unless you had the time and the
Resources.
funds and resources to go and say, okay, let's renovate this. Let's put a decking on. Let's, da. So I think first and foremost, control what you can control and present your property, whatever that is.
Correct.
Whether it's a bit dated or it's brand new, present it in its absolute best possible light.
Correct.
I would be very considerate of what the local market does as far as comparable sales similar to your property as the vendor.
Correct.
Really focus on something around and close by. Within usually 500 metres is a good guide, is what I would use.
Correct.
A kilometre out can be a little bit
Exactly.
distracting as far as it's not really the right
Relevant properties.
property to be going with, correct? So I'd stick to within your little circle around you there, 300, 400, 500 metres. And obviously pound for pound match up what is yours, 3-bed, 2-bath, the 3-bed, 2-bath sale, and your land size. I would also look at timing of the year.
Yeah.
There's a misconception that spring, you have to sell in spring. It's the best time to sell. It's in fact the reverse.
Yes.
Because everybody thinks spring's the best time, so
Correct.
they all put their house on the market in spring.
Exactly.
I'd be doing it in what's supposedly off-peak time, but they're in real estate these days with the internet. There's no off-peak time.
Correct.
We did an auction late January, Feb, I think it was.
Correct.
Gangbusters.
Yeah.
We did an auction late December. Gangbusters.
Yes.
July, same thing.
Correct.
I'd be they're the three things that I would be looking at.
100%. And I suppose I sold my property probably about last year in winters as well.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly the same thing. We made sure the house presents really well, what's recently sold, and what's on the market,
Yes.
which is in competition.
Yes.
And this is exactly what we recommend a vendor jump on what's sold plus what's available in your competition. That might help you price a little bit more depending on what's in your competition. If there's less stock available in the market, we went in the market and we realized that there's probably about 6 or 7 homes within 300 to 400 meters. And I wanted to competitively price my home. And rather than pricing it here, I actually started my guide from here and I actually got towards the upper end of the range. And I took the market very seriously at that point where when I got my offer and a week or two after, similar properties actually went for 10, 15,000 less. And 2 months after, when there's further interest rate rises, same home sold for about 30,000 lower.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's an answer, because first open home, I had 3 groups and I thought, nah, the guide's not right. And I adjusted the guide straight away.
And you had a reaction.
Correct.
So that's the thing too. With you've also got to look at this on the fly. Another benefit to the auction method is you can do this. That on the fly, if after week 1 your numbers are really, really good, price can go up. If
Correct.
they're really, really bad, you can adjust the price down.
Correct.
And I think being able to read the situation in real time and the way markets work and are working these days, over 4 weeks. If you don't do anything from week 1 to week 4, then you're in trouble if you need to change. You need to really change 7 to 10 days. It needs to be a
100%.
reassessment. How are we tracking? Are we tracking okay? Yes, okay, let's continue on the path we're on.
Exactly.
If we need to make changes, that's where you make the changes, because getting to the auction week's too late.
Yeah, 100%. I remember the day we had an open home, we were already expecting about 10, 15 groups, and first turned up, 5 minutes later, second turned up, 10 minutes later, third turned up, everyone left and I was standing there. Nick was there, remember? And I said, let's see, let's see. 1 minute to go, I said, we'll just wait here for another 5 minutes. No one else. And I was on the phone with my wife straight after and I said, I reckon we need to adjust the guide.
Make the adjustment.
Straight away, because I just didn't want to make a decision. What a lot of people I see make and they don't listen sometimes, with all due respect. And but I suppose the agent is a person who would actually feel the pulse of your campaign straight away.
Yes. And that's where the trust comes in.
Correct.
We talk about a team effort, and the vendor, the agent, the auctioneer are all one team. But the agent is the soldier in the field.
Correct.
That is reporting back to the generals about what they're seeing and what they're feeling. And you can take that advice on board or you can discount it. They're the two options. And I think taking the advice on board, not to say that, you have to do every single thing that the agent says, but you've employed them to, bring you the result.
Correct.
So you should be advised. And my advice would be the fourth point would be to listen to what they're suggesting.
Correct.
Because they're seeing everything.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Guys, we can go on for all day here, but Aaron, thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Anytime.
And that's a great value, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do more lives like this in the future.
I think so, yeah, it'd be great.
And help and guide our clients and the community itself. And guys, do remember there's a few festivals coming up in Point Cook Pop-Up Park on 22nd of this month and 30th. I've just met with the organizers in the area, and they would love to see the support in the community coming together. 22nd and 30th, we'll be posting online about these 2 events. So please join us, and would love to see you there. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much, Aaron.
No worries. Thanks, Jess.
I think one of the exciting things about running a national network, and obviously the way we operate and having independent agents, is their ability to actually be authentic.
So it's really important to make sure that we understand the client's needs and get the job done and see it right through to the end stage. Very important.
The fire and the passion for getting the top sale results for our clients is absolutely paramount, and it hasn't ended since the last 10 years, and I don't see it finishing anytime soon. It's more about now passing it on and passing on the skills to the new generation as well.
Helped us achieve great results in the past, and I am absolutely sure that we will continue achieving the same results in future.
Working with Jazz is all about looking after our client and give them exceptional experience.
And very much like our Jazz Real Estate, where LJ and Jazz, our directors there, are operating an absolutely sensational business. They get to be authentic. They're able to give exceptional service. They live up to our mission to be extraordinary in everything that we do.
That's the level of research we do on an individual to understand where this person has been, how long it's been on the market. As I always repeat myself, understand the journey for them to understand you as an agent as well.